Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the LFGM podcast. Let's fucking go, Mets. Matt, how you been, man?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good, all good over here. Um, Spring training finally here. We're getting to see some live action baseball games. It's been a while since the Mets have had, I don't want to say meaningful baseball because it's definitely not meaningful, but it's nice to, sit down, watch, listen. You get the SNY crew back together, Gary, Keith, and Ron. If you're a radio person, you get to listen to Howie on the radio. You get to watch some baseball. So it's been a nice week.
Yeah, I've been watching just random games. I just throw on MLB Network at this point, and whatever they got, I'll watch.
This is going to put a sour taste in everyone's mouth, but I don't know if I was doing the same thing earlier, and Jared Kalenic hit a fucking bomb.
He's going to start in the minor leagues, regardless of what he does. But it's gonna be very painful at some point this season when we watch him. Because imagine if we had him with this team.
I know. Put him in center. Let him run.
Dude, I usually get over trades pretty quickly.
No, this is gonna be a long
time. This is gonna be a long time because I'm just gonna be like, because we're really good, and just imagine if we had this guy for free like we had.
By the way, I had no intentions of doing this. It just randomly popped up into my head.
No, I know. Well, he randomly pops up in my head a lot, and and not many players do. I kind of let go of guys when they get traded. I'm pretty decent with that. But this guy, man, I just think of Edwin, and then I think of Cano, and I'm just like, man, we could have had him, and then that means we would just have like we'd have a spot open in the pen, so then we probably would have signed Trevor Rosenthal or someone else, or I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's got to stop at some point.
And you wouldn't. I mean, I know we don't have Cano's money on the books, but I mean.
Oh man,
that makes a huge difference going forward, right?
Like next year won't be a headache. Imagine that, but it's gonna be.
We're in trouble, man. We're in big trouble. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Mets spring training games. It's been really enjoyable. I was only able. They had the Marlins, they had the Astros, and they had the Cardinals. Schedule-wise, it's weird. I think only one of those games was on SNY, where we got to listen to Gary, Keith, and Ron. That was the Stroman start. I was really impressed with Marcus on the mound. Not so much after the game when he was talking about how nasty his stuff is, but he looked good. He looked really good for not having pitched in almost a year. I was really impressed with what he was able to do in a meaningless spring training game.
Yeah, it's tough because it's, the quality of batters that he's facing. I don't even remember the hitters, but I'm sure that wasn't anything too crazy. But I saw a graphic that was pretty cool. It showed his release point on every pitch was so similar to each one. I was like, well, that's when you're on. You're on at that point, when your release point is the same as the changeup, the fastball, the slide, all of these pitches, the sinker. It's like, all right, well, everything is going through that tunnel then. Everything's looking the same for the first 20, 30 feet, maybe till it gets to the batter, which is always a good sign, regardless of who the hitters are.
Yeah, I think I sent you that tweet. That was the most impressive thing for me was his release point on all four of his pitches, including the new pitch he's been working on. I think, what are they calling it? It's like a change-up splitter type action.
Yeah, it's like a slow splitter pretty much.
But, I mean, even that's a brand new pitch he's been working on, and everything had the almost identical release point on all of his pitches, which is encouraging moving forward.
Did he say he got that from Giselman?
I don't know where he got it from.
I think he said something like that in one of his interviews. I don't know. I didn't listen to.
Yeah, I do want to talk about his post-game interview. Like, him going off on, my stuff is nasty. You don't need to throw 99 to get batters out. Like you've seen 99 get hit all the time. It's like, bro, like come on, man. Just like, and I'm not one of those guys that's like shut up and dribble, like no pop. I am to an extent, like express yourself how you want, but like, bro, at this point, it's like, dude, just shut up and pitch. I really think he's going to have a really good year. He wants a long-term contract. He wants to get paid. I hope he has the best year of his career. I hope he gets a long-term contract and he gets paid, but I don't know if I necessarily want it to be from us.
He does this all the time. I've noticed with his interviews is a reporter asks him one basic question and then he just he writes a whole fucking essay for them. Yeah. Like, all right, man, I didn't ask you half of that, but all right, thank you. Like, well, it all started when I was a young boy, and I'm blessed. And then I was like,
oh yeah, you always
where's this going, man? When they just asked about your new pitch. They didn't ask about where you grew up.
Nobody followed up and asked him like, hey man, like, what are you doing with some of your windup stuff? Like he was doing full Johnny Cueto stuff out of the windup, like pauses, different. I mean, he was almost like quick pitching sometimes out of the windup too, which is like you're throwing off the timing, which is great. You're throwing off a hitter's timing, which is great, but are you throwing off your own timing too? I'm more like, I don't know. My personal belief is like, dude, just do the same thing. Like keep it consistent,
Well, it's very impressive that he could do that and he can hold the balance like that and then make those pitches with that release point and get outs like that. It's impressive. He's been doing it for a few years now. He does it more and more frequently. Over the last year and a half, I've noticed he's done it more and more. And if it works, it works. It's all good. It always looks worse, though, when you do it, when you pause for a million seconds. And then if you throw one right down the middle and Nelson Cruz hits it like 600 feet, well, it's going to look bad,
Or you throw one, 55 feet.
Robles. Like Robles. You just like you're like because then all basic fans are gonna be like, stop fucking around. What are you doing?
Stop doing it. Yeah. Even if it's one pitch out of 100 too.
Right. Which isn't fair.
Cueto-esque to me. I did see like a lot of Johnny Cueto out of him, which if that's his ceiling, I mean that's a damn good ceiling. Johnny Cueto, hell of a career. Another exciting part about these spring training games is we get to see the newly acquired Francisco Lindor in a beautiful orange and blue uniform. He looks good. The hair, I don't know what color the hair is anymore. It was blue. Now it's it's not like a blonde. It's more like a white. Like
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. I like that. And I mean, slow at bats, swinging at some pitches early in the count, but like I have full faith in him. He's going to be just fine, and we've seen him and McNeil working at second base and turning double plays, and it was just nice to see him in uniform. He brings a lot of electricity.
Yeah, I didn't, you don't watch much of these guys. Like if they're coming from a team like Cleveland or whatever, obviously you see him here and there or whatever. But even noticing him those first couple innings, every single pitch, he's just like, he's a real true baseball player, like fundamentally sound. Obviously it sounds like he's a leader in the clubhouse, but the way he goes about the game, he just looks like a true baseball player, which is great. Like every hitting, the way he takes every pitch and everything is like very, very fundamentally sound, which is very refreshing.
He's always talking, which I love. He's always, making his voice heard, not just from a leadership standpoint, right? But like, hey, did you notice this? Did you notice that? When he's out in the field, he's always communicating with his teammates. I hope he's going to have I fully expect him to have a really good year. And I don't care. He could go 0 for 50 in spring training for all I care. It really means nothing. It's just nice to see that presence on the field with the Mets, because I feel like we haven't had that type of guy since you could even say he's like Jose Reyes, I mean, he's a different type of player, but that's that type of
he's
energy,
different.
that charisma.
He's got the energy and the presence and the charisma that's very similar to a Reyes. Reyes was, definitely played the game more recklessly, and that worked for him. Like Francisco is just everything about him is just so technically sound, and it's crazy to see like the switch hitter, the way he approaches each pitch, and then him in the field. It's like not just raw talent. You realize like, oh, this guy has mastered the game of baseball.
And it's I think it'll pay off. It's gonna rub off on a lot of these other guys too. I hope they can, soak it all in and learn from this guy because he's an absolute stud. Another guy. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw this one, but he does not like Frankie, so we're going Francisco only from now on.
Yeah,
just thought. Okay, so Francisco only. His second base.
Francisco or Francisco only?
No, just Francisco.
Okay, so I won't say Francisco only, Lindor.
Good one. His second base partner, Jeffy McHits. Jeff McNeil went yard. That was a bomb. He hit an absolute moonshot out there. And I feel like he always kind of goes through this, like, am I hitting for contact? And like, am I an average guy, or am I going up there and am I hitting bombs? He had, remember his splits in the 2019 season? It was like the first half of the year, I think he had like 4 home runs, and then the second half he had 16 home runs. In the first half of the year, he was batting like 330. The second half of the year, he batted like 280. So hopefully we can find a little bit of a happy medium there, because we got some pop in the lineup. I expect him to be right around 310, 12, but however many home runs, I don't care. Anything's a bonus over 10 for him. It was nice to see him, smile and run around the bases too.
Yeah, I would. Would you agree that maybe like him throwing him around in all different parts of the order maybe led to his approach at the plate a little bit over the last year and a half?
Interesting. Yeah, I think you could definitely make that argument. Yeah, I wouldn't argue against it.
Especially if, if we're talking 2019 season, offense a little bit lacking, right? So, you could be trying to make up for something. But I think that's the best part of this lineup, is that you can really truly carve out your own role in this, and we will find a spot for you. So, I always like the hit for average. We're going to have plenty of guys that are hitting bombs. I like him up in the top of the order.
Same.
But again, like, we got a lot of guys that can hit up in the top of the order. So 2, 5, 1, I could see him hitting.
Yeah, I would
in every single one of those spots. Even 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I would lean 2 right now. I know Rojas has already come out and said that Nimmo's going to be the primary leadoff guy. I don't think they have any other, real options as a leadoff guy. I don't like McNeil as a leadoff guy. I'd rather have somebody up there who's going to work a count and foul some pitches off and be a high on base guy. And we kind of saw that a little bit with Granderson too, right? Granderson was that type of guy, and I think Nimmo can be that as well. And I think when you can get, a guy, you have a 40% chance of getting a guy on base to start off the game, and you have a guy who's hitting 300, 315, hitting right after him. That's a great, table setter for the rest of the lineup. And however you want to go about that, whether it's Lindor, Alonso, Conforto, Smith, your combinations there are endless. But I think those 2 at the top of the lineup could be a lot of trouble for pitchers this year.
Yeah, I like the top 4 of Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor, Alonso. I like that a lot.
So do I. And I think Pete's going to have to settle into the 4 spot, because Lindor's your best hitter. He's batting 3rd. It'd be interesting to see. I could see.
Shit, who did we forgot Conforto?
We didn't forget Conforto. I was just going to say it'd be interesting to see if you move Pete down to the 5 and put Conforto at the 4. That way you separate your lefties. Because if you go Pete 4, Conforto 5, you would imagine Dom Smith is 6. You have 2 lefties in a row there. So they got to try to figure that one out, and I'm sure they'll play around with it based on who's available in the bullpen and who's starting and whatnot. But
Conforto is as polished as they come too. Him at 5 behind Pete, like Pete's going to see so many pitches, and then Conforto, and then you have the lineup is nice. The lineup is nice. Like Michael Conforto could be the 3-hitter on more than half the teams in the league at this point.
Yeah.
So it's a nice inconvenience to have, I guess.
Well, I guess after you would go probably you would go Smith, and then the next guy in the order would probably be James McCann, who another addition this offseason. Another guy we got to see a little highlight out of the other day. McCann with the McCannon down to second base. Now, granted, great throw on target, good pop time. The guy was safe. So, and like people are like freaking out about him. Like, listen, great throw, guy was safe, but like encouraging signs. It doesn't matter. It's spring training. Who cares if he's safe out? Doesn't matter. The throw was on target. It was quick. I feel like the last 5, 6, 7 years, we have seen throws in the dirt. We have seen throws into the outfield. We have seen throws that have not even been close on target. So, again, another promising sight and something encouraging coming from this team in week 1 of spring training.
Yeah, spring training games, there's no instant replay, right?
I don't know how that works. The guy beat the throw and then came off the bag, so they called him out. I'm not sure if
right. I was just wondering if it probably shouldn't be, just like keep it moving, but you still want to be true to the game, I guess. I don't know.
Well, they do these things where it's like, if the pitcher can't get out of an inning, it's like he's reached his pitch count, like end the inning and move on. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't really.
Yeah. So if it's like they'll like before the game be like, this person's throw at max 30 this inning. So if they get to like 28 and another batter's up, they'll be like last one no matter what. So it's like
I like all that, dude. I like all that. I know.
I have no problem with it. These guys are trying to get. This is not about winning games. This is about getting guys ready for a season.
Yeah, well, it's something that should have always been done, and this has been done in the past a little bit, I guess, but it's done a lot more so this season now. From what I've heard, is managers just talking to each other before the game, like, "Hey, you want to play 7? You want to play 9? What are you thinking?"
Yeah.
We're here to get work in. We're not here to fucking have a 5-hour, 9-inning game.
Beat each other. It's not about that. It's about getting ready. It's a long season. Get these guys ready. Make sure everyone's healthy coming out of it, and that goes not just for the Mets. That goes for all the teams in the league. Nobody wants to get hurt in a spring training game. That's not what we need to see. But it was nice to see McCann. A good, fast, accurate throw down to second base. There's nothing that drives me fucking more insane than when we, it's sometimes with these guys, it's just an automatic, like Trey Turner. Guy steals second on us all the time. It's nonstop. It's like, dude, like, come on. How is this not an emphasis? And then we make these excuses sometimes for the catchers where it's like, oh, well, this person has a really long, they take forever to get to home plate. Like, yeah, I get it. You can still make an accurate throw to second base. The throw might be late. Make an accurate throw. I'm not talking, 5 feet over the second baseman's head or 5 feet short. I feel like we've seen that too much over the last, I don't know how many years, and it was really encouraging to see a ball straight at second base.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know. As a former catcher, it just drives me fucking insane sometimes.
I just wanted to let you rant on that. That's completely fine.
I was very excited about it.
Yeah, no, I know. I like the throw too.
Hey, good talk.
Yeah.
Well, did you have any other takeaways from spring training? I saw Almora had a home run too. JD Davis had a really nice day today. Davis is going to be probably your 8 hitter in the lineup, which is
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
My biggest takeaways were I got 2 things. We got some really big arms.
Big guys too. Trevor May.
That makes me very excited because like when I saw the game on Tuesday, yeah, Drew Smith coming in looking sharp, looking really good, very promising, and then Sam McWilliams came in right after that, missed a couple spots, had a few guys on, but worked his way out of it through some nasty shit, like just nasty stuff. Big arms, big young arms too. And it's like, wow, this is nice to see. This is good. And then I want to get your opinion on this too for my second takeaway. I noticed like a lot of the young kids, like are real young stars that like recently drafted, like within the past year, are up. They look good. Like they look like they belong there, and they're getting playing time. And I don't really remember that happening too much in the past couple of years. I could be wrong on that, but like to see Beatty out there was pretty cool. And like he looks like a professional player. Like he doesn't look like the fucking guy Francisco Martinez, is it? I always bring him up. He doesn't look like he belongs on like a travel team, like a 15U travel squad.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is not something that we have seen the Mets do in the past. I don't think it's something that we've seen a lot of teams do in the past. So just
like Pete Crow Armstrong, he was just drafted and they brought him up and he's manning center and he looks like he belongs there.
Yeah,
and it's like, damn, I don't really remember the last time. Like I always just remember us bringing like our spring training roster. Just if we had subs, they were like weathered guys that had been around for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a lot of takes here. Mauricio looks huge. He put on some serious muscle. If you look at the picture, and he's 19. If you look at a picture of him from last year's spring training to this year, like it's a different human being. He looks massive. Who else? Beatty looks good at the plate. He ripped an opposite field double today, and the exit velo on it was like, and I'm not one into these like stats, but like I do like it for like, was the ball hit hard? Did he make good contact? He hit at 107 miles an hour off the bat, opposite field double. You ripped it. He hit.
You're doing something right. Yeah, you're doing something right.
Yep. And you know what else I find pretty interesting too is like they've had Matthew Allen shadow DeGrom, and they had these guys, Pete Crow Armstrong, like you mentioned, and Matthew Allen, both had media availability. So that to me is really interesting. They're getting, it's still like the Zoom calls and everything and whatnot, but they're putting these guys up in front of the camera and they're saying, have at it, go ahead. I think it's, there are pros and cons to it, and I think there's more pros to it, right? Like they got to have the maturity for it, and you're seeing that the guys who they have picked do have the maturity for it. I noticed, I want to say it's like 8 or 9 of the top 20 prospects are at Major League camp. So it's promising. It's a good sign moving forward, and these guys get to see like how much work Jacob deGrom puts in on a daily basis, or a Francisco Lindor puts in on a daily basis. There's no stat to quantify that. There's no sabermetrics for that. So I think it definitely has more pros than cons for sure.
Yeah, I think. Well, listen, it's a con if the kid is not ready either physically or mentally for it, and I think they obviously did their homework on it and decided that these kids are ready, and you're not there to make them look silly, embarrassed, or foolish or whatever. And I don't know, it's impressive. I do like that approach. I wish media would ask Sandy about that a little bit more. Like what, like
it's a good question.
Yeah, like what was the thought process behind this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question. Speaking of Sandy, he talked the other day to the media, and he mentioned that contract extensions were going to begin soon. So it sounds like the Mets are going to be talking to the agents of Francisco Lindor and Michael Conforto, and a name that Sandy mentioned that you have been gung ho about. So all props to you. Give you credit here. Is Noah Syndergaard too? So we've got about 5.5 weeks left until the season begins, and that's the deadline, man. Get these extensions done. Don't let these guys go into free agency. Lock them up, lock them up, and it's a little bit of a gamble with Syndergaard, but I think it's worth it. There's nothing in that I can think of that says he's not going to be able to come back from this, from Tommy John. Is it a setback? Sure. Will he have the same ceiling potentially that he, could have? I don't know. What I do know is dude's a freaking workaholic, and he's going to put the time and the effort in, and whatever happens, happens. But Lindor and Conforto are musts, absolute musts. And Noah, it's going to be a little bit trickier to navigate those waters on the years and the money. But if you can do it, I think you absolutely go ahead and you do it.
I'll be honest, I'll be slightly disappointed if we don't extend Lindor and Conforto.
I agree,
I
100%.
kind of want both. Obviously, one would be nice. If you don't extend any, then that's not good at all. But coming out and saying that you didn't give Springer that contract because that might impede on any negotiations with Conforto. It's like, yeah, all these idiots now that we're talking shit about how we couldn't sign Springer, this and that. It's like, yeah, you see the bigger picture now, you fucking morons. Like, I want Michael Conforto in a Mets uniform the next 8 to 10 years.
There's also the crowd that will still say it's only costing you $30 million more to go the extra year. But I'm with you, man. I think it sucks the timing of it, right? Like I wish we already had Conforto locked up and we had a little bit more of um, an idea of what the payroll was going to look like for the 2022 season. But you're living in a perfect world there, and that's just not the case. It didn't work out with Springer, and good luck to him up in Toronto. And my priority would be Conforto over Springer 7 days a week.
Yeah. So you got to hope that there's some kind of traction and something gets done with those two. And then Noah, I think too, I've been on this just because when you look at the free agent class of pitchers next year, it's not that great. So we're going to, you go into these free agencies and obviously there's going to be some more guys that become available through trades or whatever it is, or qualifying offers or whatever. But by just looking at the 2021 list of actual free agents, guaranteed free agents, Syndergaard's the best. He's the best one, and he nothing changes because of this injury. Because it's shown time and time again that plenty of guys get this done, plenty of guys get it done again a second time, and they're all right because based on the science behind it. And if they've gotten to this point of being in the big leagues at this point, then, they're working with some of the best doctors and training staff ever. So
the analogy I'll give for, TJ used to be it was a death sentence, right? And kind of like tearing your ACL in football. It was just, if that happened, I mean, remember what happened to Adrian Peterson, and people thought his career was over. And that was probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. The science behind these surgeries now is, I mean, light years from what it was even 10 years ago. So is it unfortunate that it happened? Yeah, but it happened, and there's no death sentence Tommy John surgery anymore. That's not a thing. Um, yeah, like I said earlier, there's nothing in me that thinks, um, he's not going to be able to come back from this. I fully think he'll be able to come back from this. My question to you would be, well, the Mets will have two pitchers, potentially starting pitchers, become free agents this offseason, and it would be Noah Syndergaard and it would be Marcus Stroman. So if you had to choose one or the other, where's your head at? Where do you go? Obviously, we don't know the years and the money or anything like that, but if just comparing the two, what do you think?
It's tough to say because you're not getting Noah till June, so it's incredibly tough to say. Obviously, seeing Noah over the years, in my heart wants to go with him just because he's a Met and when he's on, he's on. It's pretty great, but I would be interested to see in what a deal like him would look like, honestly. What an extension would look like. I don't know if that you could even just give him an extension and it's only 2 years and he's still in the prime of his career and you could just, throw a ton of money at him up front. You could do something like that. But you got to see the season through for both of those guys to make any kind of decision on that at all. There could be a world, unfortunately, where you don't want either.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to live in that world, but and then they're very well, and the more likely scenario is that you want both, and you want to try to shed some kind of payroll to get both. Stuff.
I think Taiwan Walker signing I think 2 years and the third year option is I think that's Marcus Stroman insurance. I don't think that they will let Noah Syndergaard go away. I think that's somebody who you want to keep. You want to keep your guys. I think they'll make it a priority. And, I think Lindor won, Conforto won A, and Syndergaard, it'll happen when it happens. I just don't know there's not an urgency or a rush behind it right now. And that's okay too. We'll see. Maybe
he's making $9.7 million this year. Noah is right. So if you were to extend him, and it's a 2-year extension, say, because he's 28 years old, so we could go back out there again at 30 and get a nice deal, right? What do you do? 2 years, 30 million. 2 years,
I was 32. Probably like 15 each, right? 30, 34.
Yeah, especially with the way the starting pitchers get these deals, I wouldn't hesitate on something like that at all.
No, I think it's team friendly because it's not super long term, and it's also Noah friendly because
giving up $30 million.
$30 million, but then you're also allowing him to hit free agency as a 30-year-old pitcher. I feel like that could be something where they meet in the middle there. I think that would be a fair deal, but we'll see. Maybe he wants the years. Who knows? You really never know with these things.
Right.
I got one more for you, a bit of a surprise, but that's all I got on Mets front. Spring training, great to hear Gary. The SNY theme, hearing Howie on the radio. It's good. Warmer weather's right around the corner. Baseball season's back. I'm very excited.
We just need Gary, Keith, and Ron in the same booth at some point, sometime soon.
Dun, 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 I was like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, we haven't done this in a while, but I got one for you. Mets trivia. Are you ready?
Yes.
There are in the franchise history, okay? There are 4 Hawaiian-born Mets players. Can you name them?
Yeah, I can fucking name them. Benny Agbayani.
That's one.
We have one. We have one on the team right now. I'm blanking on his name.
You do have one on the team.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name. Sid Fernandez, is he Hawaiian?
It is two.
This is two. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You're halfway there.
I want to look up the Mets roster. Just to see, but I know like that's probably not allowed.
You want to?
But I know we have one on the team.
Yes.
Yamamoto.
That's three.
Yamamoto.
I thought Yamamoto was the hardest one, or Sid. So I think the next one would be the second easiest behind Benny.
Shit. Something tells me that it's like the same era as Agbayani, like within like 5 or 6 years from them.
No.
Okay.
For hints.
I know if you say it, I'm gonna be like, I fucking knew it.
I give you a hint that's not like a big one. He's been mentioned already tonight a few times.
He's been like on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Wow. That's blowing my mind right now. Hold on. He's got to be current then.
No, he's not.
What the hell? What did we talk about?
Well,
what did we talk about? What do we ever talk about?
You want me to tell you? You want another hint? What do you want?
Yeah, I can't just stay stumped here. Just tell me.
Ron Darling.
That's bad. I should know that.
That was a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I should know that.
Taiwan Walker is also Hawaiian, but he was not born in Hawaii. He's born in
I was gonna bring him up, but I just knew it wasn't the right answer.
No.
I just,
Okay. That's a
Sid
good
was
one.
good. Sid was good. I'm happy with that.
Sid was good. Sid's the hardest one, I think.
Yeah.
No, you did good. You forget he was born there, but then he grew up in Massachusetts. So, like, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not good at trivia, so I'm fine with that right there. I'll take it.
You did good. All right. Well, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, folks. That's another episode. Put it in the books.